Finance and E-Government MEC Nomantu Nkomo-Ralehoko has presented the 2022 Gauteng Provincial Budget Speech to the Legislature today. And joining us for more is our reporter Mbali Mteto. Mbali, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. What are the key takeaways from today's budget speech?
Good morning, Simpiwe. Now, you'll remember last year in July, we had the July unrest. We heard the MEC making references to those events, talking about the impact that it's had on investor confidence, as well as how it exacerbated joblessness in South Africa and in Gauteng in particular, and in keeping with trying to create employment and also growing the local economy in the province. She did allocate the lion's share of the budget, 36 million rand, to infrastructure development. This is all in an effort to create infrastructure-led growth within the province. So this means that the province will be undertaking a number of infrastructure development projects, which will also assist in terms of creating employment and also just stimulating economic activity within the province. Those were not the only allocations. There were a few others. We saw education also getting a significant chunk of that budget, which will essentially go towards creating around 4,000 jobs for young teachers or young education professionals. We also saw other allocations within the health sector. We understand that there are some hospitals within the province that have been earmarked for refurbishments. I have a number of political reactions here today, but the first person I'd like to speak to is the MEC herself. A sense of, how she feels about the budget that she's unveiled to Johannesburg and to the whole of South Africa. Thank you so much for speaking to us. My first question is, the burning question is that, a large chunk has gone to the development department, infrastructure development department, which has been a point of a concern for the Premier during the SOPA address. Talk to us about your thoughts around that. And, the other thing that people are actually raising concerns about is Shard Matleke. Is it going to get the much needed revenue in order to get those refurbishments completed and start operating again?
You are correct. The last chunk goes for the departments that are responsible for infrastructure projects, not only DID, but you know that the DID is the agency that is responsible for making sure that those projects are being implemented in the province. So we will definitely be monitoring that money. It's 36 billion, by the way. You were correct, not million. So that 36 billion is going to go to those projects that we have identified as a province. Remember, what we do before we give you money, you give us a business case that must talk to your project and the cycle that we want that project to be finished. So again, as a department, we have now a dashboard that we are going to use to monitor that you are indeed implementing what is expected of us to do, because our role again as Treasury is to follow that money. We allocate, we follow it, we assist, we advise you and ensure that you spend correctly. On Charlotte Matleke, as I've indicated, we are going to give them 10 million. That 10 million, we want them to finalize the process now of renovating the hospital, because we really need that hospital to work. And as a province, we will assist colleagues from DID and the Department of Health to ensure that whatever finishes touch-ups that are supposed to be done by the contractors are done and are completed.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. MEC for Finance correcting me there, saying that it is 36 billion rand, not 36 million rand, as I have stated a little bit earlier on. I am going to get some political reaction now from EFF acting chairperson Idani Mukwebo. Thank you so much for joining us. What are your thoughts and what are your biggest takeaways? Did it strike the right chords with the EFF?
No, we are disappointed as the party. But this is what we expected from the MEC of Finance, because, ANC-led government in this province are capable to implement projects which they agreed upon. The Premier acknowledged in its State of the Province address that is having a crisis in the department DID. And then today she pumped 36 billion to that department where there's crisis. And as the EFF, we called the removal of the MEC on infrastructure, because that department is not performing. We've got shortage of schools, shortage of hospitals in this province. The hospitals which they are going to do maintenance, I'm telling you now, There is a crisis with that department where they are unable to execute their mandate, which they are supposed to do.
So, what am I hearing you correctly? Are you saying that you're concerned that the funds that have been allocated to the Department of Infrastructure Development will not make it to the various department, or rather health facilities that it's been earmarked for?
Gauteng is a crime scene of corruption. They redirect the funds to do other things. And as the EFF, while I was debating the Premier speech here last week, I said to the Premier on behalf of the EFF to say, as the EFF want this province to establish a state construction company and move away from this tendering system, because tenders is people, it's friends, it's comrades of the ANC who are not capable to implement the mandate and the budget which we give the people of Gauteng. So we need the state to have its own construction company. And as the government, then we can build these schools, we can build these houses, and we can do maintenance to our hospitals.
Okay. There you have it. That was Itani Mukwebo speaking to us and giving us some political reaction to the MEC's budget speech, which she has just tabled not so long ago. I'm joined by the IFP's regional chairperson, Bongikosi Dlamini, who's also going to give us the IFP's perspective. Thank you so much for joining us. Your thoughts on the budget?
Thank you very much, ma'am, and your viewers at home. I think when you look at the budget, the timing of it, it was tabled. Our economy is not doing very well. We are from the pandemic. The economy has been closed down. Therefore, these 152 billion rands, we think it has been allocated correctly, more especially 30% of almost 40% of the budget goes to education, the reopening of technical schools. We really welcome that as IFP. The only elephant in the room is corruption and the impact that it does, because departments spend, but we don't see impact and changes that touches people's lives.
Okay, there we have it. We have the IFP talking about the fact that, money is allocated to various departments, but you really see the benefit of those funds that have been allocated on the ground. I'm joined by a representative from the ACDP who's also going to be giving us their views and their thoughts on the budget.
Well, basically, I think the budget for us as ACDP is a balanced budget in terms of we have learned that you eat the meat and you spit out the bones. So the meat for us is the DID issue that we have a challenge with regards to how money is given to DID. We believe that money must be taken from the different departments and situated to the DID firstly, and then work can be done for infrastructure capital projects. Secondly, the issue of support for non-governmental organizations, which is substance abuse. I think it's a pivotal one. It is ravaging substance abuse. That one needs to be implemented very, 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 very powerfully. And lastly, the issue of recapitalization of technical schools in townships. We believe that one is critical for us, and the money, 157 million, must be spent and implemented. And if these are done, we will change the trajectory of crime and violence in our schools and communities.
Okay. There you have it. That was some political reaction to the budget speech that we've heard not so long ago. Some goods and some criticism coming from the opposition benches. It's back to you in studio.